Hey guys, welcome back, it's Meg. Today we are going to be going over the Dragonflight Season 4 Mistweaver Mythic Plus guide, and we will be talking about stats, core abilities, talents, cooldowns, rotation and triage, and then at the end, just some recommended UI elements. Starting out with haste, we want to be around 30%, and this is helpful in our hot tick rate, faster casts, lower GCD, and quicker DPS rotation, as well as some value in our celestial rotation. Critical strike contributes to our healing and damage quite a bit, and risk contributes to the same things at a smaller level but also includes some survivability. But this isn't something that we focus over crit or haste until very high end Mythic Plus. And lastly, mastery is not necessarily a bad stat, but it does only provide throughput, which is something that Mistweaver historically has not had an issue with. You'll see a lot of Mistweaver run higher mastery early on in seasons before tuning passes happen, but since this is a faded season, I don't see this being a problem, and mastery use drops off heavily after tuning passes happen in favor of more crit and burst. Gust of Mist is our mastery. The higher mastery that you run, the more you're going to see the impact of this ability. It is applied through Renewing Mist, Enveloping Mist, Vivify, Chi-Chi, Expel Harm, and Revival. Gust of Mist from the player and Gust of Mist from Chi-Chi will show up as different abilities in details or in logs, but they are both mastery affected. Jadefire Stomp triggers Ancient Teachings and applies the Essence Font Hot to players that it hits. This deals damage and applies the Hot on use, but after the initial hit, only your character needs to stand in it to benefit from the effects. Other players can only see it for about 2 or 3 seconds before it disappears for them entirely. With the use of Ancient Concordance and Awakened Jadefire, this ability allows us to cleave with Blackout Kick and Tiger Palm as well as heal through Spinning Crane Kick. Awakened Jadefire is a buff that accompanies Jadefire Stomp. This allows healing through Spinning Crane Kick as well as allowing us to hit twice with Tiger Palm, giving us 2 stacks of Teachings of the Monastery. This effect will linger for 8 seconds after you leave your Jadefire Stomp. Ancient Concordance is another buff that accompanies Jadefire Stomp, and it allows our Blackout Kicks to cleave, which works with Ancient Teachings as well as Chi-Chi. This effect will also linger for 8 seconds after you leave your Jadefire Stomp. Ancient Teachings is triggered by Jadefire Stomp. This is mostly maintenance healing, but it does represent well overall. Our uptime on this should be very high in Mythic Plus, but don't rely on the ability to heal heavy damage events as it's more designed for supporting and maintenance healing. Essence Font is the hot portion of our Jadefire Stomp, and it also comes with the Essence Font spell itself, though that is not something we're currently using, and it is going to be removed in War Within, so you can go ahead and leave it off of your bars. This makes Gust of Mist heal affected targets twice, so if you can hit your allies with it, especially during Chi-Chi, try to do that. If not, it's not a huge deal. Soothing a Mist is an ability that does minimal healing by itself, but it's more of a tool to make Vivify and Enveloping Mist instant. You only need to use this when you are going to cast more than one ability on the same player. Vivify is our main single target heal. It will also heal allies with Renewing Mist on them for a smaller amount, and it is instant during Soothing Mist. Enveloping Mist is mostly used during Chi-Chi for the Enveloping Breaths or for group-wide Enveloping Mist coverage. We also use it during heavy single target damage taken, or during short-lived heavy group-wide damage. Renewing Mist is another hot that causes targets healed by Vivify to also receive a portion of the heal if they are a Renewing Mist target. Renewing Mist also applies Chi Harmony, which is very important for heavy damage taken. Shaylin's Gift is our primary group-wide heal. It is an ability that can be considered a cooldown, however it's so short that it's kind of hard to call it that, but it is a very powerful group-wide heal, and it should be used for heavy damage taken, or it can be used for single target healing depending on the needs. Expel Harm should be the first thought when you need to heal yourself. This is an extremely powerful self-heal only, and when used with Thunder Focus Tea, it also gives you a shield. Mana Tea isn't really a heal, but it is our resource. Usually in Mythic Plus, you'll just want to drink whenever you're running between packs, or you're at 20 stacks and need to prepare for a bigger pull or boss that is upcoming. Normally, I don't cover tier sets and guides like this, however, Chi Harmony is going to be coming with us from Season 3 into Season 4, and it has been turned into a talent for the War Within, so I did want to go over it. You can use this ability on squishier players during damage events for heavy single target damage. This is also a huge part of our healing effectiveness overall, but especially in single target situations. Tiger Palm is a basic single target ability, and it will hit twice with Awakened Jadefire, and it also gives a stack of Teachings of the Monastery per hit, So for the one target with Awakened Jadefire, you will have 2 stacks of Teachings of the Monastery, and you spend these stacks with Blackout Kick. Blackout Kick cleaves with Awakened Jadefire and spends your Teachings of the Monastery stacks. This will have a chance to reset your Rising Sun Kick cooldown, as well as give you some healing through Ancient Teachings. Generally, we use this at 4 stacks of Teachings on the Monastery for the best damage and value on Rising Sun Kick resets. Rising Sun Kick is our highest single target damaging ability, and we use this on cooldown to do damage as well as extend our HOTS through Rising Mist. Oftentimes, this is used with Thunder Focus Tea for a shorter cooldown. Spinning Crane Kick is a channeled AoE ability that we have. This is going to be one of our higher AoE damage abilities, and it's also going to contribute healing when you couple it with Awakened Jadefire. Zen Pulse is almost always used on a tank or on a melee DPS. I don't usually use this as a reliable heal, but it does happen occasionally with the main intention being DPS. Typically, I will precast my Enveloping Mist on the tank as they are gathering the pole, and once everything's pretty much together, then you can go ahead and use Zen Pulse. Chi Burst is only used for fishing for Jadefire Stomp resets. It's mana free and uncapped on damage and healing events, so this leads to very high chance of Jadefire Stomp reset when you send it into a pack and also hit allies. Starting out with talents, the class tree has a few free points. If you're doing keys where survivability is not a problem, then you can drop some defensiveness for damage like Resonant Fist, or drop some utility like Paralysis for more mobility and improved roll. Typically this is what I run, but there are situations per dungeon where you could grab things like Yulon's Grace instead of Diffuse, or additional damage. The spec tree doesn't change a whole lot. The adjustments that you could make are taking Focus Thunder instead of Secret Infusion for more Thunder Focus Tea-empowered abilities, and you can take Dance of Chi-Chi instead of Focus Thunder or Secret Infusion, though typically you'll get better value out of both Secret Infusion and Focus Thunder than you would with Dance of Chi-Chi. Dance of Chi-Chi is only taken if you are never going to push Focus Thunder, if you're doing quick homework keys or just weeklies. This is the standard Chi-Chi and Jadefire Stomp build that we've been playing since Season 1. It's pretty versatile when it comes to adjusting to situations, and our damage and healing are very high. This isn't to say that you couldn't change a few things around, but the big pointers here are Chi-Chi, the Jadefire Stomp nodes, and Ancient Teachings. I would not recommend builds that do not use these major talents. Most of your healing is going to be coming from Ancient Teachings and Awakened Jadefire, as well as Shaylin's Gift. In cooldowns, Chi-Chi will provide group-wide throughput in a few different ways, and if you want more information on the Celestials and their rotations, how they work, I do have a video going over that for Chi-Chi and for Yulon. Chi-Chi is our main cooldown and our highest source of healing. It is capable of large group-wide throughput that can be bursty through Gusts of Mist with more targets, or more maintenance-focused through HOTS, which is supplemented by smaller gusts. Again, I do have a full video going over the use of Chi-Chi, which is going to be more in-depth than I am here. I also have a Google Sheet where I keep track of the things that Chi-Chi and Tiger's Lust interact with their Freedom-type abilities. On the same sheet, there is also a diffuse chart for things that you can reflect for damage. Revival is just a one-off button. There isn't really a whole lot to talk about, but it can be used as a mass dispel or as a heal depending on your needs, and it will dispel anything that we can dispel, which is magic, poison, and disease if you are talented into improved detox. It does proc a Gust of Mist in addition to the heal that Revival does, and it's also instant, so it can be good during movement. Shaylin's Gift isn't a cooldown in the traditional sense, but it is about a 40-second cooldown with more flexibility. This is a basic group-wide heal, and it really packs a punch. If needed, it can be also used as a single target heal, but is generally better suited for AoE, and it covers many mechanics very well considering its short recharge. And lastly, we have Life Cocoon. This is a single target absorb that can be used as a personal, an external, and sometimes as a tank defensive. Typically it serves DPS and healers better, but it can be used on your tank if they need it. Outside of certain cooldowns, healing doesn't really have a rotation. It is more of a triage or a priority system. For Mistweaver's maintenance healing, it's going to be HOTS and Ancient Teachings, as well as maybe an occasional instant Vivify. For this healing, you want to make sure that you have your Phalanx Stomp down. This will give you your Ancient Concordance, your Ancient Teachings, and your Awakened Phalanx buffs. Then you will Tiger Palm twice for a total of 4 stacks of Teachings of the Monastery. You will be using Rising Sun Kick on cooldown and using Blackout Kick to cleave heal with Ancient Teachings. Depending on the amount of damage going out and the amount of mobs that you have, you can also just use Jadefire Stomp and Spinning Crane Kick. For single target healing, you are going to use Renewing Mist to trigger your Chi Harmony on your target, and then you are going to start a Soothing Mist channel into one Enveloping Mist and spam Vivify until they are safe. Depending on the positioning of the player, if they are melee or ranged, and depending on how many mobs there are, you could also use Zen Pulse with Echoing Reverberation, though you do have to be aware of their positioning, and typically this is better to use on a melee or on a tank. You can also just use Shaylan's Gift depending on whether or not you're going to need it for an upcoming AoE mechanic or not. For 2 to 3 target healing, it looks pretty much the same, though I would recommend using your 2 Renewing Mist charges on each of the damaged individuals for that Chi Harmony, and then you can target the target that does not have Chi Harmony or the lowest target to start your Soothing Mist channel on, and then into the same Enveloping Mist and Vivify spam. You can change targets depending on who is the most in danger, or you can just send Shaylan's Gift, which is typically what I do. If you have enough targets, you can just use your Jadefire Stomp with Awakened Jadefire and Spin. This is for very high amounts of mobs, I would say around 12 plus, and even then sometimes that's not enough if the damage is too intense, and in which case Shaylan's Gift is our best button for group-wide triage. For single target damage, you can use your Awakened Jadefire to trigger your Ancient Concordance, so that when you Tiger Palm, you get 2 stacks of Teachings of the Monastery. Then you are going to use Rising Sun Kick on cooldown and use Blackout Kick with your Teachings of the Monastery stacks to fish for a Rising Sun Kick cooldown. For 2 to 3 targets, it is the same as the single target rotation, except you're going to want to open with your Zen Pulse and Echoing Reverberation. Typically, I will precast my Enveloping Mist on my tank or on whichever melee or even myself before walking in and using it as my first ability, and then dropping Phalanx and continuing the rotation. For 4 to 7 targets for damage, you're going to drop your Jadefire Stomp, open with Zen Pulse and Echoing Reverberation, and you are actually also going to use this mid-pull. Typically, it's best used with Thunder Focus Tea so that the Enveloping Mist cast is free, and then you can go into a Spinning Crane Kick spam, and you're just going to continue this rotation. For 8 or more targets, it gets very simple. All you have to do is use your Zen Pulse with Echoing Reverberation on pull, and then spam Spinning Crane Kick. For the recommended UI elements, I do have my entire UI available down in the description, but for weak auras, I do highly recommend the Jadefire Stomp helper that I made. This is just to track your buff uptime on your Awakened Jadefire and your Ancient Concordance, and it's also going to let you know if you are eligible to get a reset on your Phalanx. Sometimes it can get stuck underneath mechanics, or it can be hidden by other things like carpeting or rugs, so it's very important to have this for maximum uptime on your Jadefire. Any type of buff uptime tracker, I have some that are available if you like them. I know that they're not for everyone, but just something to be able to keep track of your defensive uptime as well as things like Ancient Teachings. For add-ons, you need some type of boss timer, whether it's big or little wigs, or deadly boss mods, just something to let you know when a mechanic is coming up. Details is helpful to keep track of your group's performance as well as your own, and then you can also see things like buff uptime. Plater or some other nameplate modifier would be very helpful. This way it works with things like weak auras, but it also just gives you a bit more information as well as customizable nameplates for whatever you need. Any type of healing frame, this is going to give you some extra binds and some extra customization when it comes to how they look. Personally, I use Vuhdo, but I do know that Grid is very popular, as well as a couple others, even just default ElfUI frames. There is a macro that will allow you to do more damage with your Spinning Crane Kick by getting rid of a gap in between spamming casts. I also have a tutorial on how to set up pings in Vuhdo that also allows them to work in the world as a mouse over. Any type of mouse over macro that you need for things like healing abilities or even at cursor macros, those are all very useful. And then I have my floating combat text turned on, but I do have it scaled down, and all of these things are going to be found in the UI sheet, which will be linked in the description below. And that is all I have for you guys today. I hope that this video was helpful, and I hope that you have fun in Season 4. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to let me know. You can reach out on Twitch while I'm live, or on YouTube while I'm live, or in the comments below. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.